Have you ever walked out of a meeting thinking like there's something that you left unsaid? Do you ever feel restricted in what you can or cannot say in meetings? Were you able to say everything you wanted to say? Maybe you cannot let the other side in on too much information and you think you need to play your cards close to the chest. Maybe somebody intimidates you, maybe they have a sneaky question that they're asking you or trying to unload some responsibility on your shoulders, or maybe you're intimidated by them having more experience than you. So you didn't answer the question to your full ability and you failed to communicate effectively. Hi, it's Johannes, and in this video we'll discuss how you can think smart and talk fast on the spot when you are put in a tough position in a meeting, when somebody asks you something that you don't know the answer to right away, and how you can improve your communication. This video is perfect for you if you're an emerging leader, especially if you're in a family business setting and you want to improve your communication during meetings. There are 5 tips that I'm going to share with you. But first, if you like what you're going to learn in this video, and if you're interested in family business topics, then subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Thank you very much. I share my experience as a family business CEO, and I discuss the lessons that I've learned, while also sprinkling in some other related topics. The first thing that you need to do to become quicker on the spot is stop worrying about what other people think. You are your own worst enemy here, especially in a family business context where all eyes are on you as the emerging leader. It's easy to get sucked into that and let the pressure get to you. Is this answer good enough? Did I think this through? Is this the correct answer, or am I stating the obvious? Self-doubt gets in the way of communicating effectively. You can get into this fight or flight mode where it's just this feeling that creeps up inside of you and you have this adrenaline rush and you don't know what else to do except for like either get ready to fight or to run away. And this is obviously completely made up. It's inside of you. You have to find a way to control your own emotions in that moment. You have to build an inner confidence. Let go of any of these perceived restrictions. This is very much related to the "we've always done it that way" kind of thinking. Let go of anything that is old and dusty and embrace who you are. You're an original. Make your mark. No one's gonna say thank you for doing things the proper way or for keeping things as they always have been. If you're wondering why you cannot think fast and come up with a good statement on the spot, let go of your fears and let your higher self do the work. So how do you do that? Stop worrying about, will this answer be worthy of me? Will people respect me for what I'm about to say? Or will people think that I'm capable enough? Later in this video, I will share with you a technique that will help you in these situations and how to prepare for situations like that. This is what successful people do to prepare themselves and to become more effective communicators. And I will share this later with you in the video. Now, the second point is to practice top-down communication. This is a structured way of getting a point across that is more efficient, but also needs a little bit of practice. Often when we're asked for our opinion on a subject, we sort of go off on a tangent and think that we have to pick up our listener and take them with us on a journey of how we got to the conclusions that we're trying to make as a point. So we're trying to make a point, but we think that we need to really make the listener feel like we've really done our homework, and that's why we went there and we went there and we went there, and the conclusion is this. We build up this whole story to get to the point at the end, like a detective story where you leaving clues all the way and then at the end you have this great resolution. This is wrong and can be quite confusing to the listener. People get lost and they lose interest in what you have to say, and they are confused why you're telling them your life story. By the time you get to the point, nobody's listening anymore. Top-down communication is to state the main points first and then elaborate on why you think these are the main points in more detail afterwards. It's not about how much you say, it's about communicating effectively, and that can be done with few words. And actually, you're a better communicator if you can get the same point across using fewer words. People will thank you. Now, the third tip is to avoid making bold statements and take large decisions on the spot just because you think this is necessary. Often you will have to deal with questions that have no right answer, or the person who is asking the question is actually also the best to answer that question. This can be a lawyer or a tax advisor asking which way to go, and you're like, I don't know, you're the expert, you tell me. But you still want to come across as professional and have something to say when you're asked something. It can be an expert colleague of yours who does not want the responsibility of making the decision, so they're trying to unload that onto you. You might hear that question and be like, oh, I have absolutely no idea. Or you think you have to make a point and respond quickly. In these situations, it's important to stay calm and first take a deep breath. You want to get your emotions in check. One way of playing for time is to say, that's a great question. And then you repeat the question back to the person to make sure that in your own words, you understand what they're asking of you. All this is time that you have to think of a good answer that will be to the point and will communicate your ideas effectively. You then proceed to answering the question to the best of your abilities. And my experience is that it's best to diffuse a tricky question by showing your human side, admitting that you don't know everything. The more vulnerability you show, the less vulnerable you become. And this leads me to my fourth point, which is accept that you're not perfect. We're all living today for the first time. Let that sink in. We're all living today for the first time. So, like I mentioned before, the worry about what other people are gonna think is just gonna block you and make you freeze up and stumble. Communication, which is opening up channels with another person, is everything in a leadership position. You can have the best systems in place, you can have the best product, the best hierarchies, the best processes. Ultimately, it comes down to the people you deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's the people that make the decisions. It's the people that buy. And everyone is living today for the first time. The person sitting across from you may have more experience, but they also started somewhere, and they will appreciate direct communication, honesty, and if you get straight to the point. Don't hold back and filter your statements. Be true to yourself, your ideas and your opinions. Now, how do you overcome these emotional hurdles and get to the point? This is where the fifth point comes in. And there are sort of two sides to this. There is the inside, how you feel on the inside, and how you express yourself to the quote-unquote outside. To gain control over how you feel on the inside, you need to face what is threatening you and drive through it with what motivates you. What's worked for me is to remind myself about a time when I felt great and when I've performed at my very best. I close my eyes and I really think back to that moment. Think about nothing else but that moment. And I take 5 minutes and I think really hard about that moment in time when I felt like my very best. And I try to visualize everything about that. You can try this now. Close your eyes and picture that moment. Maybe you need to pause the video to think of a point when that was the case. Just think back to a moment when you were at your very best. What were you doing when you were at your very best? Where were you at that very moment? What did your surrounding look like? What did you wear? What did it feel like to be in this very moment? And then really visualize that for yourself and take that with you into your meetings. And from that strength, just trust yourself. You already know what to do. Thinking clearly and communicating effectively is often grounded in knowing where you want to go. What can help with figuring out where you want to go is to think about problems in terms of first principles. If that's something that interests you, then you should check out this video on the screen, which will help you break down an issue to its fundamental truths and come up with solutions from the ground up. Thank you very much for watching.